For some reason, my brain is just unable to process language. I barely know my native. Me, English speak good. I struggle hearing lyrics the same way I can or can't get the words out a lot of the time. As good as I am at a lot of like hands-on technical stuff, communication is very far down on that list. So, what did I do? I submerged myself into a completely foreign language I had never been exposed to prior to actually coming to Brazil. Maybe outside of a little bit of the Spanish that I learned, picked up, incorporated, but both cultures will tell you the similarities are few and far. So today we're going to talk about language and culture and the relationship between the two. So before coming down, I'd seen a lot of talk about how like friendly Brazilians are. That was always like a very vague and general statement to put on a country of 213 million people, especially when you're coming from America, where I don't think most people would describe most people as friendly. Or at the very least, you know, friendly means something totally different from what I think most people were talking about online when they were referring to Brazilians being really friendly. You know what I'm saying? But in general, I came down feeling like pretty optimistic about being able to like fill out and really integrate into the culture. It just seemed like a lot of the ideals were, there was a lot of shared values that again, this is all just online experiences, which is still a small group and it's can be skewed in either direction depending on your own personal experience, right? But from what the majority of the things that I was seeing, I just felt like, you know, the values and the care really just aligned between me and what the culture seemed like it was built on. So I felt like I had a good chance of coming down and just being able to really establish myself within the culture and just to fill out the vibe and for the vibe to shine through even if my words weren't always able to. But I think what I've discovered so far is actually something that can't even really be expressed inside of a Our Brazil Reddit post. The language gap has actually shown me more of the patience and spirit and humanity that the people have down here. And it's really not just for show. For a large part, the actions speak louder and more vividly than I found in the past. Way more than anything I'm used to back in America, for sure. Hands down, no question. A large majority of the interactions I've had down here, like despite me catching maybe 10 to 15% of like any given conversation, they really left me feeling full of energy and life afterwards. I think the biggest contributor to that is the patience shown by the people that I've spoken with, whether it be asking for directions or getting a recommendation or just not being able to find the words. I found that generally people are able to see the effort, or at the very least, they're able to sympathize with my struggle, empathize with my struggle, and are very encouraging to keep going. And in contrast, it's a very understood idea that in other parts of the world, if you don't speak the language, a lot of people barely even see you. It's this attitude of like, I can't help you, you're lesser. Interactions feel more awkward and dismissive. Just personally speaking, I've needed to unprogram a lot of that thinking. There's this internal idea that I have that I'll be like burdening people because I have like a slower pace in general. Like even speaking English to people back who speak English, it feels that way. So I can only imagine now combine that with I barely even understand what you're saying. So so I'm thinking, wow, like there's no way that anybody would, you know, have the time for me, give me the time of day to like even listen, to be heard. But I found that that's not true. People actually care. Breaking news. Down here, when I do go to speak and they immediately clock me, they're like, oh, you speak English. Fala inglés. Yeah, it's true. Sorry. Yeah. But oftentimes it's funny because as I go to start to speak and they go to start to see that I'm not from here, they love to show off their English. They love to show off their English. They love to throw in a thank you. What's up, bro? Today I was at the coffee shop. I was ordering my espresso. I usually go in and grab an espresso. The woman taking my order, she was like, with milk or without milk? And it's always throws me off anytime they switch over to English. I'm still speaking in Portuguese. Like it's like force a habit at some point, which is good. That means like progress, right? That means I'm making progress. So this next part I have here is just talking about how it again goes back to that alignment. Before I left America, I was also trying to learn Spanish for a variety of reasons, but one of them was definitely because I've come across, especially working in the service industry as long as I did, I came across so many people who didn't speak English or just they struggled to speak English. So I just tried to do what I could to help out in any way that I could, especially when I was at Starbucks. So our store in particular had a very heavy Latino population coming through. So I was just trying to, pick up and be able to help people as much as I could. And that's always just been something that I really vibe with and have enjoyed the process of. For people to also feel that same sort of energy and camaraderie and just wanting to embrace other cultures and embrace other languages. It just feels very, you see me and I see you. And that's really nice. I guess what I want to do next is talk about community. I have here, how has not speaking the language affected community? Being able to build and establish like a foundation down here. I don't think that not being able to speak the language has affected my ability to establish a stronger network here as much as just not having a solid place to actually begin to build those connections has. It's just hard to take root anywhere if you don't know how long you'll actually be staying. There's been plenty of times where I've ran into people in our month 2 month stays in certain places. You start to you're going to the grocery store a lot, especially because it's in walking distance. Most of the time there's always a grocery store within walking distance, that you come across the same people at the registers, the same people in the stores, or seeing familiar faces here and there because some of the communities that we've been in are so small. It's a twofold thing, because if I had more confidence to go up to them and have a conversation, again, that kind of goes back to feeling like, oh, I can't be burdened. I can't be burdening people with the struggle to try to have a conversation. But when I do take those chances, I am usually well received, even if I wanted to try to get deeper, which again, now that's getting into like a vocabulary thing and not having all the ways to express it. I try to pull out Translate. I mean, that's a little awkward. It gets the job done. It's just not as effective. It doesn't feel as good. So I try to stay away. But even if I could actually have those conversations more often, then it still would be like, I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to be heading out 2-3 hours away from here anyways in however long. So, but regardless, I think in America it's uncommon to like how to word this, to like feel much for the people that you see out. Even in the grocery stores, you're kind of just going past people or going past the workers unless you need their help. I'm just also, again, just speaking from personal experience. And I mean, also, I think it's just how it is for people to kind of blend in the background, especially the workers, for them to blend in the background so you like absolutely need them. But it feels a little bit different here. It may just be because of me being foreign. I don't know if that makes that big of a difference, or because things are tighter here. Things are much tighter in the grocery store. So like you literally are always bumping into, the workers they be in the way. They really be in the way, like for a good reason. They're stocking the shelves. They're trying to keep things stocked. It's hard to miss them, is what I'm saying too. I know that's not always the case in America. How many times have I gone to, there was like a particular Target in general that was always, the shelves were always empty. They do not play that down here. The shelves will be stocked. But I don't know, man. It just feels like fundamentally different to me. Let me go ahead and pause, man, because the battery about to die on the mic, and I'm kind of losing steam and stuff. I'll come back tomorrow and try again and finish this up.
24 hours later.
Okay, yeah, so where were we? I was talking about grocery stores and ignoring people in the grocery stores, or not really like seeing people in it. That's all kind of a side note to the bigger idea I was trying to get at, of how it's very uncommon in America to just, I feel like, start conversations randomly with people, to just go up and interrupt or bother people in a way. And I feel like bother is a strong word. It's a word I use a lot when I go to talk about this particular feeling, but just essentially just kind of interrupting someone's day or ask for someone's time. You know, the old mantra, time is money.
Time is money! And if you boys is wasting time, then you're wasting money!
That is very lived through in America, and it shows, especially when you get out of that for some time and you realize like, oh, it's pretty casual and chill and normal to just go up to people and talk with them a little bit, see what's up, say hey, introduce yourself. As long as you're not being creepy, obviously. Especially if there's something in particular that you find interesting about somebody. It just kind of seems like it's cool. I just want to give you a compliment real quick. Not saying compliments are like weird or rare in America. It just is like you always need to have something in order to just want to connect with people, or you need to be introduced mutually through someone, or there needs to be some sort of like value transaction taking place in order to not feel like you are interrupting or getting in the way of day-to-day activities. That doesn't really seem like it happens down here as much. It's just a much different pace. It's a much slower pace. I think in Sao Paulo, it felt very fast. We were only there for like a week, and obviously like we had just got here. So you can't really like gauge the vibe, but down here, it's definitely a lot chiller, slower. It's a totally different environment, totally different vibe. I feel like I try to make time and space and be available to connect with people, especially if they want to come up to me. People all the time are throwing in little tidbits here and there down here speaking to me. I frequently miss a lot of what they're saying, but whenever I do catch it, it's always quite an experience. It always takes me back a little bit, especially the adamancy people have with getting their words out and making sure they're being heard, because I will have headphones in all the time and then just be like, oh, you're talking to me. It may take a couple ois, como, before I figure out what is actually being said, but we usually get there, and it always feels like a point of pride for me. I'm like, oh yeah, I got that. I got it. I know what you said. It's funny. Real quick, thank you for watching. Thank you for making it this far. You know, this channel, it's all about exploring the intersection between music, travel, and mental wealth, and the way that they all interact with each other and they come together to help us figure out what it feels like to really live through the heart. So if that sounds like something that aligns with you and something that you think about, you want to explore further, and just interested in more tools, thoughts, deep dives just like this, drop a like, subscribe for more. I got a whole lot more in the tuck. Let's get it. So now this is just kind of like a more personal observation, because I want to be fair and not make it so broad of an assumption of like, oh, America versus Brazil. I just want to be more fair about just how my own personal growing up in America, how that has affected me, and especially as like a Black man. And I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but I'm just like introverted as well, so that I'm sure plays a part in just the whole social aspect of things and not feeling as comfortable socially in general. I've heard, or I've seen, I need to see if I can find this statistic. I have seen that Brazil is like one of the most introverted countries in the world, but the culture in general is very open and very inviting, encouraging to speak freely with anyone and to make those connections. And it's more of a we. They frequently use a gente. Whenever they go to start speaking, to say like we as the collective, as a people, versus America is so like individualistic. It permeates throughout the culture, and especially just in everyday connection and everyday vibes and just going out and speaking with people. Now bringing it back to like me and how that's affected me, I just feel like there's probably like a deeper level of limiting beliefs, a deeper level of restriction that kind of stops me from always pursuing those conversations or connections when I'm out with people. Just makes it a little bit more, makes me think twice about it. Like maybe it's being shut down a bunch of times, which has led to like a deeper fear of rejection, or lots of times I feel like I've been misheard or not. I don't feel like I'm fully being heard. I feel like I get misunderstood a lot. I've literally been told to process faster as I'm just trying to get my words out and trying to get the whole thought together. And because of all of those things, I just feel like I've leaned more like socially anxious in general. I think it's one thing to be introverted, and I think social anxiety is like a different sort of feeling. It's a different thing. It doesn't go hand in hand. And I think if that statistic about Brazil is true, that's probably the perfect example of how those two things are not mutually exclusive. Are mutually exclusive? They don't go hand in hand. Mutually exclusive. Describes two or more events or scenarios that cannot occur simultaneously. Yeah, they are not mutually exclusive. I think that there's fundamental cultural differences that perpetuate the idea of feeling more socially anxious. America just does a very poor job of encouraging the collective in general and the connection aspects and to be more connected with people. But they need that to happen so people don't start coming together and then, whole revolutions start happening. So on this channel, we're actively fighting against that, to be frank. I think if I knew the language, I'd feel more confident to speak and, just more comfort and the ability to form stronger bonds. But it's still my responsibility to put myself in those positions. So now this is going back to community building. Like in anywhere that I am, I need to go to more events, show face more, go out to where people are in the first place. I found that the vast majority of everything else after that is just vibes. Once you get out there and you show face and you start interacting and just kind of, you're in the air, you're in the space, people are very inviting down here and you feel it. I don't feel any sort of pressure. I don't even feel any sort of, I don't know if I would describe it as pressure that I felt in the States to like interact with people. I think there was just always like an uneasiness of it's so interesting thinking about it now actually. But there's just like this uneasy kind of feeling that doesn't feel like that here. Even not knowing the language, I always feel like I will be able to get through the interaction. And in America, I wasn't always positive that would happen. That's so it's blowing my mind thinking about now. It's so hard to explain. I don't want that to come off as like, I feel like it sounds weird or like I don't know. I don't have the words. It's just a feeling. It's a vibe. Yeah, it just doesn't feel the same down here at all. It just feels a lot more open and like I feel like I expect people to be more open than not, which in America, it feels like people are walking around with their head down. And that is not how things should be. It literally, like, the amount of times we'll just go down the street and just like, boa tarde, boa noite. Like the amount of times it's like just even like greetings and looking people in the eyes and just the small little details that show that people are alive and they see you and it's not weird. And the way that it just feels not weird a lot of the time, it does not translate the same in every culture, in my experience. Yeah, it's just going out, it's just seeing people, the rest just kind of falls into place as people kind of fill you out. They feel your energy, they give you the space to learn, the ease to make mistakes. And I think that just starts with a unique willingness to want to understand and like meet people where they are. Thank you, Brazil. E aí agora? Lembro quando te mostrei aquele vídeo no começo? I think I'm a little bit better now, but I'm also maybe still not too entirely far off from that video. But let's talk about some of the challenges that come with learning a new language, specifically Portuguese. Let me like back up a little bit. Let me tell you what I do feel confident in. I feel good in reading and like picking up words and grammar concepts. But when it comes to actually like hearing the language in real time, it just is like so much to kind of take in. And that I have gotten better at. I'm able to like hear the words that I can hear. I'm able to distinguish where the words stop and start, which is like a big leap forward for me. Now it's just mostly about expanding vocabulary and then being able to actually figure out what is being said. It's kind of funny, like thinking about how there are so many people who I've seen or heard from who it's the opposite for them, where they can't really like read the language they're learning, but they can like hear it fine, cleanly, probably communicate too. But I guess that's really not too far off from like how babies learn. So that kind of makes sense. That makes sense. It's just in the way my head processes, I just have too much going on up here at any given moment. So it's like I have thankfully stopped trying to translate in real time, or at least I don't do it nearly as much or have to do it nearly as much. But there's still times where I'm like, am I hearing this correctly? Or I know the words. It's just, again, putting the pieces all together. To my American English speaking ear, Portuguese sounds like slurred Spanish French in some ways, and I've seen other Brazilians describe Portuguese as like cutesy English. That it is. Facebooky, Facebooky, Facebooky. Okay, so now what's actually helped me the most? I think what's helped me learn the most is just constant repetition. Getting in the reps, like anything, makes you more comfortable and confident, and that's really the core of anything, right? It's just the amount of confidence you have while doing whatever it is you're trying to do. I definitely still remember how my brain would just get physically and mentally overwhelmed from trying to take everything in as I'm hearing it. But thankfully, it again has slowed down a lot since first getting down here. Like I said, I had never really been exposed to Portuguese in any meaningful way prior to actually moving to Brazil, outside of just a boom cha cha boom cha couple a track or two. The learning process has been very interesting. It's been tough. It's been very, very tough. I think the big thing that you always hear about is the way that immersion helps people, and is probably the fastest way to learn. I don't know if that is completely true for me. I understand the idea. It forces you to use the language more than you would actually use it. For me, it's been a combination of a few things: Portuguese classes, flashcards, YouTube tutor, AI tutor, media, songs, and TV help like so much, having subtitles and lyrics like right there to cross-reference and immediately, especially when it comes to hearing, to separating the words. Like the subtitles and lyrics are so helpful in that. And I think all individually is really nice. But again, it just always comes back to getting in the reps and actually using it, just using it and not being afraid to make mistakes. Making mistakes has been the biggest teacher more than anything. Making mistakes in real time and seeing people's actual reactions to how I'm saying things. I remember when I first got down here, whenever I had to like pay for anything and they asked me how I wanted to pay, it was like I was saying like Crejedu or something like that, but it's Crejetu, and that is a big difference. It's a big difference. People could literally not hear me. I remember being on the beach and trying to ask one of the little cocktail kiosk vendors what time they were closing up, because it was later in the day. I kept asking like "Quando fecha?" and they were like looking at me like when what? When what? When what? And I was using it to try to say when do you close, but I needed to say "A que hora fecha?" At what hour do you close? It's just those things that really stuck out to me and have really helped the most, for sure. And that's helped me come along and come along faster. For sure. So just real quick, the thing that makes me feel like the whole immersion is the best way to learn. The reason why that doesn't necessarily resonate with me is because before I came down here, I was able to learn a good bit of Spanish without having ever visited Latin America before. And I mean, sure, I got to like use what I knew, various situations like I explained yesterday, but the immersion has definitely more than anything helped me. It's been like more of a checkpoint or like indicator of all the work that I've done leading up to those moments where it's like, okay, I'm out and about, got a term Portuguese brain on. It just forces me then to use it, which again is the point, but it also still comes back to the idea of it's your responsibility to put in the work, to get out there and learn and seek out those opportunities to use to put to the test of what you've learned. So yeah, it's not like you just drop into a culture and boom, after a couple months, you just completely understand. I'm talking to myself. But one thing that definitely helps is one thing that I will keep coming back to that has helped in the whole process of learning Portuguese is just been people's people's understanding and a willingness to like meet you where you're at. It goes a really long way to just see people have the patience and to not into there's always like the encouragement, especially when you are able to struggle through it and then be able to make that connection with someone, because there's frequently that initial like not quite sure what you're trying to tell me, but eventually we're able to get to that point of okay, no, I feel you. I feel you. It's a really great moment when you get there. Things would just be like a whole lot slower if every time I wasn't immediately understood by someone, if they had to run and go get whoever could possibly understand what I'm trying to say, or if I always had to pull out the translators. A few times I went to go pull out a translator and they've been like, yo, tranquilo, like, yo, calma, like, chill out for real. Like, we don't gotta do all that. Unless it was like something like some paperwork or something, then it's like, nah, we just vibing out here and it's cool. In America, how many times did I had to go run and get someone who spoke more fluently than I could to be able to help someone out, you know? I mean, I guess in those particular situations, it was usually a lot more like somebody like really needed help in some way, or they were asking about like job opportunities or something like that. I feel like most of the time I at least like understood what they were trying to get at, and I just had to go find somebody who just had more information than I did. But here it just feels a lot more accepting overall is the general consensus, the general idea. So yeah, so I that's pretty much all I have for this video. Hopefully I've been able to communicate all my ideas I've had about this topic, speaking about like language, communication, updating and reflecting on like my personal journey and learning a brand new language in this way. It's very, very different. So if you have any personal stories about how you've been able to learn the language that you're trying to learn, or have any more questions about things that have helped me or things that haven't so much helped me, I feel like, definitely feel free to drop those in the comments. Yeah, I think that's it for this one. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next.